short video is just designed to give parents a little bit of background on our literacy block and perhaps make it a little clearer for you. So when you are setting up that routine of the literacy block with your child or with your children at home, things might make a little bit more sense. They might seem a little more fluid and routined, and hopefully you'll see the purpose behind what we do. So let's talk to the elements of the literacy block first. These are our 4 non-negotiable elements. So these are the elements that every student at Trinity must do in their literacy block. And then we do have the option of a literacy activity, which is our optional element of the literacy block. So read aloud. Now that's the 10 minutes of a shared novel that the students are sharing with their teacher. This is a time for them to journey along together on a little adventure through their novel. It's a time at school where we have our crunch and sip. So it might be a time that you would also like to have your crunch and sip happening at home. You might give them a piece of fruit and a glass of milk, and they can not be looking at a screen. They can just put headphones in. Usually the teachers are videoing it so they can be watching as well if they need to, but simple headphones in or playing it on a Bluetooth speaker with the device in another part of the room is also an option. So that's our read aloud. That is the purpose of the read aloud really is just when the teachers will read quality literature to the whole class, and it provides an exemplary model of everything that we want the writers to achieve. It doesn't involve too much discussion in between. The kids just want to sit back and get on with that 10 minutes each day. So that's the first element of our non-negotiables in the literacy block. Next, you'll see it says teacher-led inquiry. This is a time when the teachers prepare some sort of text as an exemplary model, and they talk about a learning outcome. And then the teacher will lead the investigation or the inquiry. So this is a time that your child will need to be accessing either Seesaw or Google Classroom to see what the teacher is setting as that learning outcome, what the focus is, and what that exemplary model is that they will teach to. It's 10 minutes. It might be time to co-construct a text with the students and teachers. It might be an excerpt from a poem or a book. It might just be a teacher-constructed text that the children are then asked to do something to, correct some things, add some sparkle words, or it might be a sample of student writing. These are not to be fixed up. They're more where we're showcasing something that the student has done that we'd like the other students to be able to look at and to enjoy and to hopefully take back to their own writing. So that teacher-led inquiry is led by the teacher. It's related to a learning outcome, and it will be in the form of whatever platform your teacher's using, so Seesaw or Google Classroom. 10 minutes. There may be some form of student response in that teacher-led inquiry, but set your 10-minute timer, and once they've got past the 10 minutes, that's time to stop and to move on to the next element of our literacy block. You can see that the next element is that sustained silent reading. Now this is a time for students to read books of their choice for 20 minutes every day. And this is a time where in the classroom we would be doing conferencing. I'll talk about conferencing in a little while. So hopefully the children have a right fit book in their hands. 20 minutes for definitely years 1 to 6. And the kindergarten teacher will let you know if that's a little bit too long for a kindergarten student, but that is definitely 1 to 6, 20 minutes where they might like to sit in a relaxing spot, maybe outside if it's a nice day, maybe with their pet on their lap, and maybe, that if you really need to sort of motivate your child, maybe that's time for a little hot chocolate with a marshmallow. You listen to your teachers. They might break this into 20 minutes of you echo reading with them as a parent, or doing another reading strategy, or it might be just 20 minutes to lie in their bed, sit somewhere comfy and enjoy the right fit book that they're getting into. This really helps with their writing. Obviously, this helps them as a reader as well. And it's really important that we do allow them enough time to get stuck into a good book. You can see next to that, there's a little sharing icon, that blue square with an arrow. So at the end of reading, it is time to do some sharing, and that's an accountability for the kids so that they know that they have to report back onto something so we can check that they are definitely reading. And so you'll see the sharing activity, which I'll talk to in a minute, is to be done at the end of that 20 minutes reading session, and that should only take 5 minutes. So the final non-negotiable of the Trinity Literacy Block is sustained silent writing. You can see that it goes for 20 minutes as well, and at least one day a week. Part of that 20 minutes will be a conference with your teacher about their writing and moving them forward as a writer. So in that writing time, the children will write independently. They might be up to publishing, where they're typing on a device. This will be up to the teacher's instruction. They might be doing some speech to text on their iPad, where they're definitely making sure they're including their grammar and their punctuation as well. This is a time that we as teachers and you as parents need to get out of the way a little bit, because writers simply need to get started for that magic of writing to happen. They always need to put the date at the beginning of their writing, and you might have days where that is all you get. If I don't want that to start a fight with them, that's the teacher's responsibility to check in with them and say, what happened on the 29th of April? You know, were you stuck? But research shows that for writers to write, they just need to get started. They need to have that solid amount of time to get their thoughts down and to just write right away. This is not a time that they need to get their grammar and their punctuation perfect. This is really a time, I say to them, to vomit on the page with their words. So my mantra here is don't think, just write. Get them writing, and during the conferencing time is a time that we can tidy that up, we can review it, we can look at the mechanics of it, but more so we can look at their writer's craft during our writing conference, and we can move them on as a writer. You know, the spelling and the punctuation of it is just a small part of being a really great writer. Great writers are so much more than good spellers and who can use grammar well. So that's the final non-negotiable of the literacy block, sustained silent writing. You'll also see the sharing icon there. So there is a sharing activity after writing where your child will have an instruction for sharing. They might do that via their platform, Seesaw or Google Classroom, or they might write it in a book, they might record themselves, depending on what that instruction is for each day. So 20 minutes of that sustained silent writing with about 5 minutes of sharing after that 20 minutes. I'm going to now talk to the sharing timetable that we've streamlined, hopefully to make it a little bit easier for families. During that conferencing time, there might be certain guidelines for your student, which your teacher will let you know. In the upper grades, when there's lots of writing to get through in a conferencing time, that might need to be posted to the teacher the night before, so they've got a good feel of the background of that writing, where it's coming from, characters, and so they can lead your child on in the right direction in extending their writer's craft. So look to your teacher for a little bit more information about conferencing, but that 10 to 15 minutes is time for us as teachers to listen to them read, check on their Right Fit book, and to have a good look at their writing and push them along in their writer's craft, to be extending their genre, the text type that they might be looking at, and definitely the content of their writing. I hope that's made some things a little bit clearer about the literacy block. I hope that it's a nice calm time at home. It's a really lovely time for you maybe to share some reading and writing with your children and to get to know their likes when it comes to reading and writing a little bit more. Routine is the key. We're leaving that up to families to set up their timetable that best suits them. Those are those 4 non-negotiables from the literacy block that you'll be working around each day at home. All right, let's recap and just have some top tips, hopefully to make your literacy block at home peaceful. Number 1, routine, routine, routine. I would print out these literacy visuals, the 2 blue literacy visuals that your teachers will email you. I would put them up so that everybody's on the same page and they know what's coming up. I would also make sure that I've got a timer nearby and set up my timer so that the kids know it goes off and know that they can move on to the next thing. Try and maintain consistency. Do things in the same order and set your timer each morning. My second tip for everybody with making that literacy block easier is to don't think, just write. Don't listen to them saying, I don't know what to write about. Keep saying, don't think, just write. Don't think, just write. If they're really, really stuck, put the date down. That gets them writing lists. Just make lists. Look out the window. What can you see? Set up a dictionary. Say to them, okay, list all the things starting with the letter A you can think of and move on to B until that 20 minutes is over. Tip number 3 is that make it appealing, okay? Let's not get stressed about it. That's not your job. We're still the teachers. We've still got to monitor it. Think about a hot chocolate at reading time. Think about sitting beside them and listening to them read for just that first 5 minutes. Don't rescue them for the whole time. Set them up outside on a beanbag. Maybe you could even grab a magazine and read yourself during that time. That might be something that just makes it more appealing. Tip number 4, contact your teacher if none of this is working, to ask them questions, to get some clarity on things, to get some help with motivating your child. That is still our job as a teacher. And hang around during the conferencing. You might even get some tips. Have a notebook and write them down, and you might think of some things that will help you in your days with them. Good luck. Enjoy the literacy block. And we look forward to reading all those incredible published works.